than not. Not sure if they're going to run it there a third or technically, I guess, a fourth time in a row, a third game in this set. And then the Oni Warriors going with still some more standard out there. Traditional Hunter over for Vote. Look good on the Jingwei. I mean, how do you feel about the Shibalanke for Vote in this matchup?
Shibalanke is a pick that I think has become very interesting recently in that in the SCC, we've been seeing him a lot more often, and even some bans towards that god. He's got very high damage output. He synergizes well with the style of build that we saw Snoopy building in the SCC, which was Rage, Deathbringer, just like standard 2012 Hunter. But because he's got so much power built into his kit, I think you can kind of sacrifice a little bit of it in the build. I feel like Shibalanke is just blanket statement pretty good. You've got CC immunity to the dash, a nice slow from the poison darts, really good lane pressure thanks to the branching bola. If you so choose, Death Toll now an option. Now the Gilded Arrow isn't just the free 700 gold that it once was, so you get like the free mana sustain. I'm a Shiba believer.
Shibalanke, Ganesh in the dual lane, to be determined, and Fafnir over in the dual lane for the Jade Dragon. Should be interesting to see how that one pans out. And we'll see if Mifflin's going to lose it all here. Game number 3 between the Jade Dragons and the Oni Warriors. Where's everything going? Who's coming out on top? Let's throw it to Dave and Gore one more time.
Here's the good news for Mifflin. After whatever bet he took with Twitch chat last year, he literally has nothing else to lose. I think he's still like 50 grand in the hole, something like that. So he is betting.
But we did the whole Maxnomic code and everything. Oh, no, it was the store code.
Yeah, well, unlucky for Miff, or maybe lucky for Miff, it is Heimdall mid, despite Miff's bet and best
Dave,
interests.
You're going to have to take in Ellie. She's real good friends with Ramsey.
That's right. They can hang out.
You know what? He had one of my books at one point. I think Ellie ate it. So I'm not getting that back.
Oh, no.
In general, anyway.
And now I'm bringing that into my home? Gonna eat all my books?
I'm trying to think what other things, you know, like his pickleball paddles.
I remember books.
We can relinquish. J-Mac probably would take those.
I mean, his name carries some type of star power, right? Like, we could auction some of this to cover his...
Oh, yeah. To cover the debt.
The debt, right. Like, we gotta get an itemized, cost-based list of everything he owns, and then we can sell off stuff to cover it. Like a Miff-signed pickleball paddle. Somebody would spend like a few
we got to get
cents
him
on
to sign
that, right?
it, though, and he's going to charge us for that now because he lost everything.
Well, yeah, that's the point. Because he charges it and then...
No, like he'll charge like
us
for
the
us to
autograph.
get the autograph on the paddle.
Yeah, there's no gain for him to sign anything at this point. It's all gone, right? Just less of it is maybe gone if he sells stuff.
Honestly, it's a really good start for Mifflin's minimalist lifestyle from here on out.
Anyway, this bit brought to you by the fact that Heimdall is indeed mid, and Panda Cat will be back on the Yu Huang over in duo.
Damn, I'm going to take Mifflin to Vegas with me. Whatever he bets on, I'm always going the opposite, and we're winning, baby. I'm winning.
I have to just wonder at this point. I want to pick the brain of one of our SPL players. At this point, is it not just better to have like Pagon still on the mage, but just over and duo, just swap what lane we're in? Is Pagon really a better Heimdall than Panda Cat is? I mean, there's more nuance to it than that. I mean, I guess playing in the mid lane is a skill in and of itself, and knowing how to control that lane, the instinct surrounding jungle pathing and stuff like that. But as far as players on picks, if you want a lane swap, surely...
I think a lot of it has to do with the farm, right? Like what you're going to get if you're alone over on left versus what you're going to get in mid and access to mid camps, red buff, things like that.
Right, but I mean, that's more like character-based, isn't it? Like, you're putting Yu Huang over there for the matchup? Or are you saying that, like,
I'm saying it
you
like,
really
strictly
want Pagon
for, I think
specifically?
you want Pagon getting the farm on, and you want him on a Hunter, and so you lock in the Heimdall, and like that's the train that I'm going down, is that him, Pagon in mid, on Heimdall gets more farm than probably Panda Cat, or maybe not more farm, more access to farm, more capable of farm,
right?
For
so
what you're going to see, and kill capable than what you're going to see out of Yu Huang, who, admittedly, after now level 3, like in the next level, you're just kind of coasting until level 12. So maybe it gives Pagon something a little more impact player now. And let's Panda Cat chill for a little while.
This is a very nuanced
Look,
discussion.
he's a prime gaming MVP. He can play whatever the hell he wants.
He can.
Okay?
You can. You're right. You're right. I'm not discrediting. I mean, Panda Cat has had some great moments on
he's
Yu
had
Huang.
some really good moments.
Kept Game 2 alive, as a matter of fact.
No, it's definitely an
It is a nuance,
interesting...
because the question is, do you want Pagon specifically to get more farm, or do you want the Heimdall to get access to better farm in mid?
Or is it both? Like, you want the Heimdall specifically played by Pagon?
Well, that's
like,
the
that
question.
One gets really
is Pagon a better Heimdall?
Yeah, I guess at that point.
I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it. It is a unique style of situation. Doug has kept showing us Fine OK over on Ymir Solo. Conduit Gem. Remember Pythag's piece? something that that Final K's already built earlier on in this set as a more unique style of build. Opportunities to cancel out some of the abilities from Nika, of course. And a swift half-level lead for Final K already over here in the solo lane.
I love Ymir, period. Like I love his kit, I love his passive. He's here all the time for you whenever you need him. But also, I just think that just top 5 gods in Smite to me. Like he's really fun to play. I think that everything is interesting in how you level him. But personally, are feeling like if you've got some hot walls that day, then you can level it up a little sooner. You know, here it's not going to be too surprising. Most of the time, you're leveling your carpet, and then you're going to be going for either wall or freeze. Freeze, usually if you want a little more damage. Wall, if you want that duration, things like that. But like, I just think he's a fun, versatile god. And I like seeing him here, because as was mentioned, the freeze can interrupt the bludgeon. Of course, we don't get to see it there, so it's not maybe as impactful, depending on mana count, things like that. But I think that you are in a very solid position, because you're on the right side of the map. You're positioned in a good place for Pyromancers, where we've been seeing a little bit, admittedly, still later in the game, but it's the first one that gets pressured out more often than not. And so you've got good rotation power there, a little good staying power. Has the teleport as well. I want to see him get active throughout this game.
First ult of the game from Vote. It's ominous, but nothing ends up happening. Looks like blue buff invade. So some pressure out from the Jade Dragons. And look, Final K's done just fine on this Ymir. Now a purple buff invade, this time gone right. Simple 2 versus 1 for the Oni Warriors. You're always going to win that one. Pandacat's got to watch his purple buff go down as Mike has rotated out of the dual lane, sends his talents onto mid lane, where Pagon now, of course, is going to have a little bit of extra pressure.
So this is
Darkness.
just duo lane now.
That's what I'm saying. Just swap. Now, hear me out. Why not? If you're, I was just going to say, why not just rotate Mike and Pagon over to the left side, right? And then put Pandacat in mid. And that was the conversation we've already had here today.
Well, I know. I think a lot of it can come down to, and I'm with you. I want to pick their brains.
Like if I want Pagon specifically on Heimdall.
If the Dragons win this is like the easiest post-game interview, because we've asked like 4 questions already for J-Mac to write down.
In reality, it's probably as simple as Pagon just wanted to play Heimdall, and Pandacat likes playing Yu Huang. Like
yeah, Pandacat was like, yeah, give me the Yu Huang early in the draft, and they were like, okay, Pagon, you got to play something physical. What are you going to pick up?
And that's,
give me Heimdall.
And that's it. Honestly, that's probably exactly what happened.
It's not like, because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, who gives pressure around? Like Gold Fury, does having Yu Huang in the long lane, he's a little safer so he can get back to the tower, but he's not like safer than a Heimdall. Heimdall's safe as hell. So where is that pressure coming through? And yeah, I think it might just be something incredibly simple.
And see, I think I'm less concerned about. We're both concerned about different things. You're wondering about why the god in each individual lane. I'm wondering why not put the actual guy who plays that role. Like put Pandacat on Heimdall in mid if you want Heimdall in mid. You know, we're so hung up on this. This is Devour's Gauntlet versus Bloodforged all over again. Where he built. I remember. I don't know if I was casting with you or who it was, and I'll get a second to think about it. As another blue buff jumped on Zamper Soccer, taken low. But the fight is dropped. He was in execute threshold, but Cubo Fred won't end up flying through. And now it's retreat for the Jade Dragons, and Final K will see to it that the Jade Dragons get out safely. Looks like Nico was able to pick up that blue buff, was indeed. And so unsuccessful on their blue buff invader, the Jade Dragons.
Still, I want to say successful in avoiding getting first blood, or if you're, the Warriors, maybe unsuccessful in getting a first blood, despite the aggression from the Dragons. Although likewise, they haven't been able to find that kill just yet, and that's not for lack of investment. I mean, a lot of ults get used to the point where Shards of Ice, like, it's it's easy to talk about because, man, as an ultimate, you root yourself in a single position. You are CC immune, so there's that. But you are stuck where you are, and while it does a lot of damage, it channels up over time, so that 3-second channel is maybe the biggest thing. It does decrease damage the earlier you pop it, but you still apply your Frostbite, and so there's like slow potential things like that, but usually, at least as a support, like that is the least important thing in your kit, is your ultimate. Like, you can use it around objectives and That's about it.
Sanford Soccer is blinked in here, has Tether out on a few, but Dardes is transformed into the Bologna. Lord of the Afterlife, disengage. How about the double stun from the Oni Warriors mid laner? Now Pagon's got a Bifrost backwards. Hopefully Bifrost away, as an ultimate from Pagon does connect onto one, but now the rundown is in, and Dardes grabs first blood. Stun through onto Polar Bear Mike, might mean another. And Cubo Fred hoping to chase it down. Stun no good. Fine okay out from solo lane. Shards of ice slow down the Oni Warriors.
Nice
and a
wall.
All but secures his escape. And Dardes wags his finger, and the Oni Warriors will snag 2 kills.
I mean, that's not only a good first blood, a good chase down. The people that get out of there, Mike, Sam, the retreat they have is not the most convincing retreat. I mean, yeah, they get out of there, they live, but you have a lot more potential, I think, for the Warriors. That is an incredible fight for them. And I think that we get to see very similar aspects of what won the last game for them. It's not necessarily anything new or fresh. It's, hey, Dardes is really good at the Morrigan, and Neil Ma is really, really obnoxious against you when he's playing the Ganesh. Whether it's the Dharmic Pillars or the Ohm. I think we were talking about it the other day, but like Dharmic Pillars is on such a low cooldown. I think 75 seconds.
Yeah, I want Chronos Pen in here.
At base.
I want it.
At that point where like I think we were talking about it because it was coming up like every 40 seconds with a Chronos Pen or something like that. And so now you're looking at Neil, even at the base level, you're going to have that super often, but that is not even including the amount of control that you can bring between the Ohm and your single knock-up. So a lot of control just in those 2 picks, not including the fact that I think that Cubo has had a really good day so far, and specifically here on this Achilles, the last 2 has looked really solid. And Nika comes in, you had called it out, a double stun. They're just playing clean, and they've got a good draft to work for it. Nothing out of the ordinary for it, except that they are just playing it to the standard it needs to work.
And Dardes has had a great day as well on this Morrigan, especially in a couple of games where there were a variety, and still are a variety, of transformation opportunities. He does play tomorrow, doesn't he? King's hoping to bounce back.
I really hope so, because I do not remember the schedule.
That was a confident he plays tomorrow. I mean, all for the bit, right? Timing is everything.
For the joke.
Timing is everything,
Yeah.
and you had to get it out right then. And variety name jokes will seemingly never get old. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, Dardes has a variety of transformation opportunities.
Yeah.
No, he plays tomorrow.
We could do it one more time.
One more
comes
time.
in threes,
one more
maybe.
time. One more time. But I think Dardes has been. No, he plays tomorrow. Pyromancer goes to the Jade Dragons. I think Dardes has been on point. My point is not even all that great, but I'm going to get it out.
Yeah, God, it's got to be perfect now. We've hung too long.
I'm trying to say it without the word variety in it. Dardes has done well to choose transformations that have really fit the team fight at hand when there have been plenty of choices available to him and not one overwhelmingly obvious one.
Here's a good one. A myriad of options, right? He's got a lot available to him.
No, he's in the solo lane.
He plays tomorrow. I think that, oh wait, yours was a Ymir joke?
Ymir joke.
Mine was just, haha, that's like the variety. Okay, yeah, no, I'm stupid is what I'm getting at here. I missed that one over my head.
Oh my God.
I think that, yeah, there's a lot of options for him. Honestly, I think the options this game to me are way better than last game.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage.
Achilles, Osiris, Bologna. Theoretically, you could do the Ganesh, you could do the Ymir, although you don't have to do either of those. I think the 3 warriors that are in this game are just really good choices for you. Might skip over Sam, depends on if you want the anti-heal or the tether, things like that. Really good dive potential for Dardes if he goes for the Osiris. Achilles, you get a double execute, good stuns, a lot of chase down, a lot of good damage there. And Bologna, just because Bologna's can be obnoxious. 2 Scourges, lots of silences, deals with Pagon pretty easily. Again, dive potential from the Bologna as well as the Osiris, I think, is very solid. And they'll be able to chase people down. So like you said, I think that there's a myriad of options that work out incredibly well for Dardes here. And I want to see where he goes more often than not, like what his mind is more comfortable with.
Well, in games like this, sometimes teams would just get caught asleep at the wheel a bit. And the Jade Dragons attempting to do so to the Oni Warriors. Mike transforms, hasn't used the Frenzy yet. AoE Coerce goes out, Gold Fury low, Dharmic Pillars dropped by Neoma. And the Jade Dragons pull off of the objective. Would have been a 3 versus 4, it looks like. But Dragon's not happy enough with the looks of that Gold Fury pull, end up dropping back. Do spend the transformation from Mike, but not a massive investment around the Fury.
Yeah,
Only
drop the
Warriors able
pillars,
to
so.
stand strong, stand available, keep the objective on the map.
It's 1 ult for Mike versus 2 ults for Neil and Vote, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
It is a very small trade. The thing that interests me the most is more the farm for the Dragons, because if that Gold Fury goes their way, they get a massive advantage. But despite the kill disadvantage right now, they've still been pulling ahead of the Warriors. It's not a ton, but at least like a little bit, which is contrary to what we've seen in games 1 and 2. So I think that that's a good showcase of at least how they've been playing the map.
Oh
my God.
Yeah, that's a stun, and that's another kill for Dardes. I don't know who's got Dardes on their fantasy team, but they're happy with the last 2 games. 3-0 now on the Morrigan. And that's not a transformation. That's just walk in and follow up damage from Neil Ma. So Neil 0-3, Cuvo, Vote. No, wrong 0-3. 0-3. Yeah, they haven't died 3 times. 0-3 for a few members of the Oni Warriors. Pagon's got to ult away. Vote drops the ult on the left side of the map as well. And not only could he have gotten an assist, but actually disengages himself somewhat well as Sanford Soccer and Panda Cat were looming. A slow burn of a game here, Gore. The Jade Dragons, yeah, they pull the Gold Fury, but now the tier 1 tower in mid goes down. You know, minuscule gold lead for the Oni Warriors, so not all doom and gloom, but don't really show up to defend their tier 1 tower at the moment.
I am more interested, I think, now with that tier 1 in mid down, and other lanes have disappeared, but just the one in mid down for the Dragons is the only tower gone. That gives a special amount of control to some of the side jungle for the Warriors. I mean, that's a little bit of an advantage. You've taken away a safe haven from the Dragons, right? Pagon now has to go a little further if you want to retreat in mid lane. You got to go to a tier 2. Same thing for anybody who's over there.
Ooh.
Whereas Nika, right here, you can just run under your tier 1.
Nika gets stunned, but able to leap away with the Eagles rally. Good damage out from Cubo Fred. Sanford Soccer was in execute range, but Cubo Fred did not have Fatal Strike. And so Sam will end up walking out just fine. Still doesn't have Fatal Strike, otherwise Cubo Fred may have considered going in for it, despite a block opportunity from Fine OK. Cubo's really stuck with this Achilles jungle. I mean, it's looked good. You get Golden Blade into more ability-based later on in the build. And I think Cubo Fred, not only this year in this phase specifically, but synergizes well with this style of pick.
Yeah, I think it plays well, and earlier I was wondering if he was going to go more hybrid, because in years past he's struggled a little bit. Boom.
Oh shit,
trouble. Never mind, jeez.
You got it backwards, Gore. All right, you got it right, Gore. Pagon gets a kill onto Vote, but not before Vote turned one around. Up, down on the Eagles rally, as Pagon will Bifrost out and away. I believe that's Dardes who initiated as Bologna just a moment ago. And so a 1-for-1 trade ends up dropping Vote for Sanford Soccer.